Good morning, everybody, and welcome to this roadmap episode of 30 Minutes to President's Club. My name is Armand Farouk, and I'm here with my co-host, Nick Cegelski. And folks, if you are new to the roadmap episodes, if you are not familiar, every single quarter we give you a preview of, number one, any new content that's coming up in the quarter. So, for example, we'll give you our tactic teardown or our webinar lineup. But then number two, more excitingly, what we do is we walk you through all of the new products or content formats that we're going to launch in the next quarter as a special sneak peek for our wonderful 30 MPC listeners. And so, for example, last quarter, we announced our book. And so today, what we're going to do is we're going to give you, number one, an update on how the book launch went. Number two, hint, hint, we are going to give you a sneak peek at the launch of our new product, which will be a course and a community both together. And then lastly, number three, we are going to walk through our tactic teardown lineup. Alrighty, Nick, give us a book update.
Dude, we blew it out of the water. And folks, if you bought a book, thank you. We set a goal when we were looking at the book launch to sell 5,000 copies. And we wanted to, at one point, make it to number one on the sales ranking charts on Amazon. We totally demolished that, and you all helped us. We sold over 20,000 copies of the book in our first 30 days, which got us well above where we wanted on the charts. We actually hit top 50 out of every single book that could possibly be sold on Amazon for a couple days, which means we passed folks like Atomic Habits, which is one of my favorite books, Psychology of Money, which is another one that I really love. And so I'm really, really proud of the work that we put out there, Armand, and we're really, really grateful if you bought a book, folks. And if you bought the book, or if you've heard us talk about cold calling and you wanted to go deeper, you're not alone.
And so, folks, Nick and I, frankly, did not anticipate this level of enthusiasm around a book on cold calling, of all things. But what happened is originally we asked all of our past 30 MPC guests to post on LinkedIn, and the feed went absolutely crazy. But then what started to happen is all of you and many of the audience members started posting selfies of you holding the book, which was freaking awesome. And next thing you know, we found that people around the world were starting their own 30 MPC book clubs where they were reading chapter by chapter as a team and building their own cold call scripts as they were reading the book. Or I posted a $200 challenge on LinkedIn and I said, if you've read the book, you can email me a screenshot of your Salesforce dashboard this week if you commit to making $200 this week, and I will post it on LinkedIn. And dozens of people sent me screenshots of them making 200 cold calls. And then lastly, people were reaching out to us saying, hey, here's my problem prop script. Like, what do you think? Did I do it the right way? And what was really, really clear is there was a desire from the market and from all of the sellers out there to go even deeper on this cold calling content. And so, folks, if you've been in the content space, if you've looked at other content creators, the natural progression from book, the next step is usually video content. And that would lead us to do something like a course, because the book is written content. The audiobook is audio content, and video content often merges the two in one awesome HD experience where you can see body language, you can hear talk tracks, you can see the talk tracks on the screen, and it's truly the best way to consume all of the content. But what was clear is people didn't just want more content. People wanted a way to connect with other sellers who were reading the exact same material, learning how to cold call in the field, and they wanted to feel like they were in the trenches making cold calls every single week with everyone else who was reading the stuff. And that is why we're launching both the course and the first ever club community together. Let's start with the course.
Armand, you and I have kind of poo-pooed on courses for a long time, and we have resisted it for years. And the reason for it is there's kind of a stigma around courses. And frankly, that stigma is well-deserved. And part of the reason is because most courses have pretty fluffy, high-level content where they talk about what to do, but not necessarily how to do it, what to say, how to sound, how to respond to the multitude of different scenarios and objections that you will encounter on a cold call. Furthermore, a lot of courses have pretty crummy completion rates where you start it, you have a lot of enthusiasm, but it is endless hours of content that don't drive you all the way through. And then even if you do finish, a lot of courses, we've talked to a lot of people, never actually get implemented. The skills from those things go into your brain, but they don't actually show up from your mouth when you're talking to a prospect.
So there are two ways we plan to solve these course problems. The first is with the course, and the second is with the community. And together, we have courses that are designed not just to be completed, but they are designed to be implemented. Let's start with the course content itself. So frankly, why is this going to be different from the book? Well, number one, it's video content. So it merges written and audio, and there's just something that hits the brain different around seeing someone deliver this content as they're walking through the talk tracks. But more than that, we're going to do even more examples. So for example, we're going to build out 4 or 5 different example triggers that you can use when you're delivering the heard the name tossed around opener. Or we're going to give 3 or 4 examples of different problem propositions that can be created for different companies so you can really see how this stuff is implemented. The concepts from the book, folks, are actually going to be the same because we spent a year writing that stuff and we think it's pretty good. But we're going to go far deeper in the examples and the implementation. And that's going to go even one step further, which is every single module will have a series of live cold call reviews where we actually review the tone mastery behind this is a rep who tried to deliver the heard the name tossed around opener or tried to deliver a problem prop, but these are 2 or 3 tweaks that you might do to take yourself from a white belt to a blue belt to a black belt. And so a lot of times this stuff sounded great in theory, but when reps put it into practice, it might not sound perfect in the field. So we're going to show you what it's like to tweak yourself to that black belt level. But then, folks, it does not end with the course. Because if you only read or watch a course and you don't actually do anything, this is an exercise in sales academia. And that is where the community comes in. The problem is most communities are glorified Slack channels where people are just spewing their stream of consciousness into Slack. And it's this thing that just 9 times out of 10, it ends up being a bunch of people shilling or selling their thing and the communities die. And so there are 3 parts of our community that are going to make it completely different. Part number 1 is you have community threads and template libraries. And so there will be no stream of consciousness Slack channels out there. All of our discussions will be in Reddit style threads. So if you have a question, it's a forcing function that you will have to think it through. So for example, you can be like, hey, I'm really struggling with my problem prop. Here's my problem prop script. Community, would you all be able to help me critique this or figure out why it's not going well? Or, hey, folks, I'm really getting stuck on the no budget objection. Here's what I'm saying, or here's a cold call recording. Can I get some feedback from the community on what did or didn't go well? And from there, you'll get answers from folks like Nick, folks like myself, but then everyone else is part of the community. And the people who submit the best stuff into the community will have their post rolled into a template library. So you'll have a template library where you can reference other cold call scripts, objection talk tracks, email templates, sequence templates, all these different things that are crowdsourced from the best sellers out there. So you have more examples than Nick and I could ever create on our own because you're getting the best from the community. That's part 1, the community forum. Part number 2 is you have the community challenges. So at the beginning of the cold call course, we are going to call on you to enroll in the community $200 challenge, where your name will be on a public leaderboard with 100 other people who are taking the course at the same time. And every single week you commit to making $200 and hitting $200, we will put a big green check in public forum next to your name saying you have completed the $200 challenge. And I will look forward to seeing the person who hits the first 10 week in a row streak on the $200 challenge. The final piece is you have the community forums, you have the challenges, and then you have the mastery, which comes through coaching and Q&A. So we're still figuring out the best way to actually operationalize this and scale this. But at the beginning, for the first folks who are part of the community, we're going to start with either a weekly or a monthly cold call Q&A, where Nick and I take the best questions that come up in all of the community threads and we answer them live. But we also want to know what you think we should be doing in the community. And so we're calling it a 2-way Q&A, where we're going to answer one of your questions and then you're going to answer one of our questions on how we can make this community any better. And if you're getting the sense of this, folks, the reason we want this is we want this to be a badass community that everyone wants to be a part of. And the way that you do this is you seed your community with the right types of people who are working their butts off to get to President's Club. And if you nail the first 100 people right, the next 1,000 will follow in line and continue to build that culture the right way. And so, folks, we are letting exactly 100 people into the first ever 30 MPC club and course community in Q4. Only 100 people. And for these 100 people, it will cost less than we will ever charge for this course. It will cost $100, and that will include 3 free months of community access as well, plus a bunch of other fun perks for being one of the founding members of the community. As a reference point, that is approximately 1/12 of what the major course competitor charges for their courses. So for $100 to build this community from scratch and have the first eyes on the cold calling course, I think it's a pretty good deal. And so if you want to sign up to be one of the first members of the 30MPC Club community with the cold calling course, go to 30mpc.com/course and you can sign up for the waitlist there.
Armand, I'm really excited to meet the folks that sign up for this because I remember when I was a new salesperson and I was picking up the phone and making cold calls, I was getting beat down with rejections. I was getting really discouraged. I kind of felt isolated from the sales team and the sales pit that I was in. And what really turned it around for me, what made me fall in love with sales and start to do pretty well was you got a sales job. And every single week, you and I were talking about best practices and we were helping lift each other up. And I'm excited to create that in this 30MPC community where we're going to have people that are energized and excited by the prospect of learning in sales, which a lot of people aren't. A lot of folks, sales is just like what they do and they don't really care about the craft of it. And if you listen to the show, you are somebody that cares about that craft. And we're excited to really, really cultivate that. So with that being said, we've got some exciting free content coming up in the next quarter. We've got 4 tactic teardowns. In September, we've got Jason Bay, who is one of my favorite people to collaborate with, leading a session on how to crush cold call reluctance forever. This is going to be a live workshop from Jason. Then we also have another October tactic teardown that's focused for leaders. It's going to be Armand and Mark Cosaglo, the 2 co-hosts of our leadership show, who are going to be taking you through the ultimate 5-stage sales process to close deals, step by step by step. So if you want to improve your leadership chops, that's a really good one to sign up for. In November, we've got the Jen Allen teaching you the 7 steps that you need to follow to gain buying group consensus. There are more and more buyers and more consensus needed in sales nowadays, especially complex sales. And Jen is the best at doing this. And so I'm really excited to learn from Jen in that November session. And then we will finish out the year with Keenan. Armand and Keenan doing a gap selling session on how to uncover massive problems in your discovery calls. Keenan is the best at this. He helps understand where the customer is today, where they want to go, and build that gap to make them have to buy your product. And so I recommend signing up for all of them, but I'm really excited for that Keenan one. So that's our lineup. Armand, anything you want to leave the audience with?
Folks, if you happen to read the book on Cold Calling Sucks and That's Why It Works, you will love being part of our first ever cold calling community and cold calling course line. So again, go to 30mpc.com/course and you can sign up to be one of the first members. And even if you don't make it to the first 100, we will be sure to open up the community slowly and you will find yourself in position 101 or 102 or 103. So you are definitely best off if you sign up earlier rather than later.
You're going to keep me on the wait list. You're going to say, sorry, Nick, there wasn't room for you.
Yeah, it's just going to be a declined message when you sign up for it. But anyways, folks, we're trying to set the community culture the right way. You got to make sure that you bring the right people in. So we're going to keep Nick outside in the cold, but I welcome you into our warm home of the 30MPC Club community. And folks, thank you again for making the book launch so freaking awesome. It is a pleasure to have this be a quote unquote job every single week to talk about cold calling and amazing sales content every single week. Catch you soon.